Oh, thank heaven for EVO motors. This week we're going to be talking about Evolution engine versus M8 engine. Which one's better? Which one's more reliable? Which one is the best for a rider? Is it the Evolution engine, introduced in 1984 all the way through 1989, with one iteration of the motor from the factory? Or is it the Milwaukee-Eight, which has several iterations released from the factory since 2018? Which one's better for you? Which one should you get? Let's get on the road and talk about it. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is the sound. Naturally aspirated EVO engines. Just listen to the potatoes. It's like galloping horses. Don't get that with the M8. So let's keep score. I say one for the EVO for its awesome sound. You know, psychologists say that the more sensations that you can connect with an object, an inanimate object, the more you'll appreciate it. So there's something to be said about a motorcycle that produces a very pleasant sound. And however that sound impacts you, if it's positive, you're going to be attached to it. And that certainly is the case with the Evolution engine. Nothing sounds like it in modern times. You have the shovel head and the pan head before it, and the Evolution is just a evolution of that same type of sound. Before electronic fuel injection got involved, multiple cams, multiple this, that, and the other, valves per cylinder. So when you turn your wrist and you hear that sound, you know, unless you're one of those guys that rides with the music on, you know, I want to hear my engine. I want to feel a part of the apparatus. That's exactly why I enjoy the EVO sound. Now we're riding here in traffic. Speed limit's probably, I don't know, 45, 50. And one of the first things that someone's going to say about the Milwaukee Eight is, wow, it's more powerful. 107 CI versus 80 and some change. Obviously. And then if you have a 114, 117, all these different iterations of the Milwaukee Eight engine are available. They're going to outperform the EVO. But as we come to a stop in traffic, I think the horsepower and cubic inches doesn't really matter, does it? It's more about sound and feel, and perhaps a little bit of reliability. Now, my EVO's in 1996. EVO came out in 84, so at the time this motorcycle was made, it was already 12 years in on a mature platform with 3 years left in its lifeline. And if we look at the Milwaukee Eight platform, right now we're, 9-10 model years in, and it's now a mature platform. However, they haven't stuck with 107. They got rid of their last 107 this past year with the Softail standard being discontinued. And I'm sure that they could keep the 107 in there, but they're playing keep-up games with Indian. And back in the 90s and the 80s, you didn't have an Indian. You had Japanese models, and they weren't coming close to the displacement. So the displacement war is true and happening. And that's why you don't see 107s anymore, because Indian doesn't have anything equivalent to that. And due to the current economies, less models equals more profit for Harley Davidson. But I'd say that back in the day, Willie G and the team had it correct where, hey, let's just offer one displacement and we'll work on styling. And if the customer wants to upgrade their engine to a EVO, to a Super 95 kit, they can go through a third party or the Screaming Eagle catalog, and we'll give it to them. And back then they were taking back orders on your EVO engine, Softail engine. You got to get in line. But there's no argument. We're going to give the Milwaukee 8 points for more power. There ain't no replacement for displacement. But as you can see, this old EVO can keep up in traffic no problem. 70 miles per hour, and we're having a blast. Now, get me out on the interstate where I need to go 85, 90 to overtake, and then 80, 85 just to cruise. My hard-mounted engine to the frame EVO, it's not as comfortable as a Milwaukee 8. And outside of engine vibrations and isolation of vibrations at certain RPMs and certain speeds, the Milwaukee 8 certainly has the Evolution engine beat at that point. There's been so much improvements through the Twimkin era into the Milwaukee 8 era for isolation of vibrations and introducing vibrations when they're wanted, such as at an idle, at a stoplight. So they give you the vibrations where, you know, it adds to the sensory experience of riding a Harley Davidson, and then they remove it when you want to make sure that your fingers don't get numb after 45 minutes of riding. And braking technology has improved over the years, but you know, if you got an EVO engine, you do what I do. You throw some Brembos on there and update your technology. But we're talking about engines. Purely engines today. When I read comments in the forums, on Facebook, Reddit, people talk about the Milwaukee 8 and some of the problems they've been having, like, you know, with oil pressure and how they have to rebuild their bottom end on a motorcycle that was built in 2018 to 2021. And then the old guys chime in, yeah, I've had my EVO since 1990 something and no problems. You know, I got 65,000 miles on the clock on this bike. I bought it with 52. And the engine's fine. Engine's been great, knock on wood. But I've had some issues with other things besides the engine, just aging out, needing to be replaced, normal maintenance stuff. And that's with any older bike, right? And in 20 years, we'll find out how well those Milwaukee 8s stood the test of time. Plus, EVO, there's a lot of examples out there with mileage well over 100,000 miles and the ability to be rebuilt in your garage. And that's where these guys that have these EVOs and have had them for a long time, or maybe they have had other engines like Milwaukee 8s and twin cams, and they go back to the EVO. That's one of the trends I'm seeing a lot lately, these comments. Now, I know with keyboards and the internet, you can say whatever the heck that you want, and you don't have to verify crap. I always say, if you don't got pictures, it didn't happen. So next time you make comments about how your EVO's at 175,000 and it blows the reliability rate of a Milwaukee 8 away, post that odometer. I want to see it, because that's cool. But how reliable is a 26-year-old 1999 EVO engine to maybe a 40-year-old EVO engine in comparison to a 9-year-old 107 Milwaukee 8? How reliable in comparison? Well, I can answer that question based on my thinking. I picked an EVO. I could have bought a Milwaukee 8 when I bought this motorcycle right here. I bought a Sportster brand new because I love the look of the Sportster and I loved how it sounded. And of course, after 6 months, I got itching for, you know, what's on the other side of the fence? What does a big twin feel like? And so I'm like, okay, I could buy a Milwaukee 8 at the dealer for, at that time, you know, $15,000 and some change out the door, finance it, pay for it, whatever. Or I could buy an EVO engine bike, you know, for $5,000 to $6,000. And I elected to buy the older bike because of how it sounded. And that idle, that potato, that low idle that you just don't get. So the sound caught me. And then the look, the unique look of the motorcycle. The particular one that I bought had a Street Stalker kit on it, which was a parts and accessory catalog kit that you could buy for your Softail back in the 90s, and this one had a portion of that kit installed to it, and I'm like, man, that's really cool. I've never seen that around. And, you know, 5 years later, I've only seen 2 of them online, none in person. So I got something unique that you don't see every day. And I bought a special model, a Heritage Special, which had some extra doodads and things for that particular model year that other Softails didn't have on it. All for, you know, $5 grand plus tax. So you get unique sound, unique look. I get the benefit of the previous owner putting in some performance parts. I got 2-to-1 exhaust. And then the ability at a low cost through Harley and other third-party manufacturers to personalize the bike. And because it's an EVO engine, you know, basic tools and basic knowledge of motorcycle repair and maintenance will get the job done. I don't need a computer. I don't need some type of machine to tell me what the motorcycle needs. Just follow the maintenance guide in the book, in the owner's manual, order a technical manual so you have a kind of a guide, and all the parts and materials are available out there through Harley or through third parties at a very reasonable cost. And with Milwaukee-Eight, well, you know, I might need a dealer's help or a mechanic that has a software license to read the ECM. That's a fact. Now, fortunately, those software licenses aren't, you know, trade secrets that you got to spend a lot of money for. They get passed around in the community. So, you know, if you have a friend of a friend, wink, wink, nod, nod, you get access to software. And the older your M8 is, the more likely that software will work for that. Yes, you don't need the latest version. But I argue that you're going to save money because you don't have to be attached to the dealer. And at some level, Harley has an obligation to support their dealers because their dealers are their customers. You're not Harley's customer, you're the dealer's customer. So Harley has to lay out a plan that's going to please the dealers. Because if the dealers aren't pleased, they're not going to sell the motorcycles, they're going to sell another brand or what have you. Or they're going to circumvent the situation and make it more difficult for Harley to sell bikes. So it's kind of a conundrum, but I'm going to say for ease of maintenance, access to repair parts and replacement parts, and cost of repair, I'm going to put the EVO as a winner over the M8 engine. So if we look at the scales right now, they're kind of weighed heavily towards EVO. I am biased, obviously. I don't own M8, I own 2 EVOs, a Sportster and a Big Twin EVO. But I am looking at purchasing an M8 on a touring platform, perhaps. I haven't ruled out another Softail. And that's kind of how this topic popped up in my head. Because I'm starting to see some really cool EVOs out there and some twin cams that I could be investing in something other than an M8. But the M8's newer. It's like that new hot chick. You know, you're perfectly content in your relationship, but then the hot chick moves in up the block and you're like, huh, who's this? What's she all about? Fortunately, I can go talk to her without anybody being jealous because my motorcycle is an inanimate object. So I can go talk to the M8 and I can ride the M8, take it on a date or two. These test rides that I do, I got a whole playlist of test rides for 2025 models, link below in the description. So I feel like I understand how each of the M8 models, whether it's the 107, the 114, the 117, the 121, and 124s perform. And I know that I'm getting more performance, I'm getting a smoother ride at higher speeds. Shoot, man, you can get up to 75 miles per hour in third gear, and it feels like I'm going 45 miles per hour in my EVO. Got this similar kind of shakes. And then when you click it up into fourth gear at 75, you jump up to 80, 85 real quick. It's smooth as butter. So I get that. And you're not getting that. But do I need that? Like right now I'm going 64 miles per hour on this 2-lane road. as I head to Orlando to Daytona Beach, passing the Cabbage Patch, one of my more normal routes that I take when going from Orlando to Daytona. Now obviously I could save 20 minutes if I hit I-4 and take that to Daytona Beach, and the reason why I'm not on I-4 right now is mainly because I'm riding an EVO. Its sweet spot is that 60 to 75 miles per hour range, and I don't have any pressure of anybody making me want to go faster, and this is a very comfortable ride. We're on the interstate. Depending on the bike that I have, I might have wind protection. You know, I can haul butt. Be there, like I said, 20 minutes earlier, maybe more if I go a little bit faster. So I'm giving up that. I'm losing time, not as efficient, but it's my time to spend, right? And it's something else too. So if you're riding in a group where performance comes in and everybody's got Milwaukee Eights and you got the EVO, you're in the back of the pack, my friend. You're going to be in the back. They're getting off on the exit, and you're not. You're a few minutes behind. Yeah, you could go toe-to-toe 85, 95, but you do that often enough, you're going to notice, depending on the model EVO that you have, if it's a Dyna or FXR, it's rubber mounted, may not be as bad. But I know my Softail, you know, every 5,000 miles, I am tightening up the critical fasteners, making sure I use my red and blue Loctites because it vibrates more. So some have to get M8s because they need to keep up with their buddies, keep up with the Joneses, and they want to be first or second, and that's important to them. There's always going to be somebody with a bigger engine and a bigger wiener, and if you want to play that game, it adds to your self-confidence, makes you perform better as a person, then, you know, hey, hats off to you. But I think if you're watching this video, listen to me talk about this, you're either you own an EVO, or you've had an EVO, or you're not sure, and you want to take a dip into the EVO waters. And I don't think there's too many sharks in the EVO waters as compared to M8. I think that an average working man can buy an EVO affordably right now, and I think that if you hook up with an independent mechanic, you can affordably spend $800 or less a year on maintenance. I think you'll have an initial cost outlay if you buy a bike between $3,500 and $5,500 that you're going to need to spend $1,000 to $2,000 perhaps to get that bike refreshed and get it the way you want it. But after that, you know, you'll have some years will be more than other years, but on average, you know, I've been spending $800 a year on maintenance. That includes oil changes, includes parts here and there, and that's someone doing it for me, independent mechanic. So let's look at the scorecard. EVO versus M8. Looks like EVO's coming out on top on this one. So you guys let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the Milwaukee 8 versus the EVO. We're gonna go ahead and skip twin cam for now. Talk about EVO, the one iteration of the EVO from 84 to 99 versus the Milwaukee 8, which has had, you know, 5 different iterations since 2018. Which one's right for you? Which one's better overall? Let me know in the comments, guys. Thanks for joining. My name is Kenny Quest, and I remind you to keep that shiny side up. And if you like this video, I know you'll like this one right here in the corner. Take care for now. I'll see you there.